Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having a fantastic day. We're going to take a look here, of course, at Bitcoin once more. Just kind of get back on track. Obviously, with the holidays, I was kind of out of commission. I covered Solana and Litecoin recently because we had signals open with that, and we took some healthy profits. I think we hit target 4 for Litecoin, which is still open, and of course, all profit targets achieved for Solana. So be sure to check that out, obviously, but they had some typical cup and handle patterns, some resistance, breakthrough slash, short squeezes, if you will. I cover those, of course. Check that out in your own time. And if you do want to become a better trader, keep this in mind. I'm not a financial advisor, but I do love teaching people to trade. I've been trading for 17 plus years, teaching for quite a few, and I can tell you that I've got some awesome features if you would like to register. A lot of those features are basically an amazing Discord community where we're all learning and growing together. Just some awesome returns here for most of my members. I mean, we're celebrating the wins and learning from our losses. That's kind of the concept, right? When it comes to signals, though, take a look at this here. We've got Solana, take profit targets achieved, 194%, pretty much 195 in 3 days. So I don't know if you can find 195% anywhere else except for my amazing community where I send out signals for trades that I take, and you can either one-click follow those or essentially just manually submit those. We also took 30% from Ethereum. 30%, that's kind of a normal for us. That was 2.5 days. And of course, Litecoin at almost 80% in roughly 1.5 days. So again, really healthy gains here recently. Trying to find the best out of nothing, because honestly the market hasn't been giving a lot of good signals, and that's just the way it goes sometimes. So appreciate your patience to all my community members. Also too as well, use the best exchange in the world, Bitget. Fantastic. They give us a $10,000 prize pool monthly. Extremely good level 2 data. Just a really fast, easy to use exchange. You do need to use a VPN, however, if you are in the States. Keep in mind you get 3 months free with a 12-month plan if you want to use ExpressVPN. That's my favorite. I've been using them for years, and honestly, it's just one of those things where they're tremendously better than other VPNs in my opinion. Simple and effective, and it's really nice to get that extra bonus. So check that out in your own time. I got you guys covered. There's also a discount for Cornix, 10% off. Link in the description below. So when it comes to Bitcoin, simply put, it's kind of it was doing well, right around New Year's, but the last couple of trading days kind of tapering off a little bit, and that's normal. And here's the main reason why. We've got regular markets down by about a full percent. Okay, so when you see these kind of opens here, where the pre-market and traditional market open closes are like this, when you got that kind of activity close to open and or close, you're going to see some volatility. Good news is Bitcoin isn't responding extremely adverse. It is, of course, responding to that, but generally speaking, we're only down by 0.25% versus a full 1%. So I think that's positive in a lot of ways, because obviously when it comes to traditional markets, they're usually Bitcoin is typically about 1.5 to 2x of traditional markets. We're seeing an inverse there almost as well, right? Where it's like it's only adjusting by 0.25% instead of a full 2%. So that is awesome. I like to see that, right? Doesn't mean that it's all sunshine and rainbows. It just implies that the bottom is potentially in. I think we're getting closer to the bottom, for lack of better terms. I don't expect the rest of this year to be amazing, but I do think that 24 is going to be awesome, or 2024, of course. So we'll talk about that in a bit. But here's the thing we want to acknowledge just really quick before we look at the daily. We've got basically lower highs continue to be printed, and this descending trend is still effectively in play. Okay, so keep that in mind. That's obviously a potential issue. So until we close above, just say 17,000, 17,200, I don't feel like we're going to be bullish at all for Bitcoin in the immediate future. And once again, the term bullish has to be used lightly. I'm not saying that Bitcoin is just back on track, we're 100% good to go because we have a couple of good days, right? Breaking over a key level resistance or a descending trend is a start, but it's not the end goal, right? The end goal is to effectively start making higher lows and higher highs and work our way back up. We can see this red line here, that's essentially where we broke through that long trend line from November of last year, 69,000 all the way down to somewhere in the range about 15.5. But now we've been kind of averaging sideways here for a while. I think we should expect more sideways action, but if we're over 17.2, that'll help us understand that we're tentatively breaking that immediate short-term downtrend. Okay, and that's important. Speaking of which, we haven't broken 50 on the RSI either as well. We've been underneath that for roughly about almost 3 weeks now. So in that regard, we are not really bullish whatsoever. MACD is also giving us very little signals here. If you squeeze in as far as you can see a slight convergence here, but that is nothing to write home about. Okay, so there's not too much on the daily here that looks fantastic. We're getting rejected by both moving averages too, so if you see this here as well, you can see how strong this rejection is looking. Okay. So again, stuck under the 50, stuck under the descending trend. I would not expect Bitcoin to emerge victorious in the immediate future. I think the next couple weeks we will definitely see 17.2 retested and broken, but for right now, we are, as I like to call it, stuck on stupid, which is also a good acronym, SOS for help. If you're familiar with that, that should be like one of those national or international terms that you're familiar with. All right, anyways, looking at the 4 hour, let's go ahead and just kind of summarize here as well. We are making lower highs, not great, but you could argue that we're making higher lows too, okay? So for the most part, higher lows are more important for a trend reversal than it would be higher highs, okay? So the fact that we're making higher lows, I think it's more of a celebratory scenario there versus the higher highs or lower highs rather. And honestly, no matter how you split here, we're looking still pretty bearish, okay? Not to say it's going to just drop like a rock, but if we take a look at TD Sequential, we came up to an 8 here recently, getting that little bit of a reset, and now we're potentially going to be moving down for the next 24 to 48 hours. I don't know if it's going to last that long per se. We could very well just go sideways for some time. We may actually break hard through this. That could happen too. But the fact that we're coming down here to test 50 on the RSI is a slight positive. It gives us a support level, all right, tentative support. But you got to keep in mind that the 16,600 range, if we drop below that, it will potentially be disadvantageous and we could see further downside. We're also soon to diverge on the MACD here, telling us the momentum bullish has lost itself and we're now trending lower. Traditionally speaking, from a swing trader's perspective, this is a very strong indicator on the 4 hour time frame. Again, 4 hour time frame for me is a transitionary time frame. It's time frame I favor probably the most, and I can tell you right now that this is giving us, I wouldn't say a sign to short, but it absolutely giving us an idea that we probably should wait for a long. Okay, so be cautious and careful right now. I'd recommend just sitting on the sidelines. Don't trade a lot of, don't overtrade, I guess you could say. But keep in mind, there's a lot of opportunities too in different time frames, different trading coins, or different trading pairs, of course. When it comes to Bitcoin, though, standard, this is kind of normal here, where we see the price coming down to a 9 on TD Sequential. This is a slight positive. This could imply we might see a reversal or a bounce off this Fibonacci level of 16.6, or in this case, 16,650. It's interesting how compressed Bitcoin is right now. Anyways, looking at the overall sense of things, let's just kind of make sense of this here. When you see 9 on TD Sequential, typically a reversal. So it comes up to a 9, right back down. There's an 8, goes sideways, and it works its way up to a 9. Gets a little bit of a reset up to another 9 again. Makes sense that it goes sideways and likely down, which again, as I mentioned before, you see 2 9s on TD Sequential in a row, specifically on the hourly or 4 hour, you're going to see some kind of trend reversal. We saw this reversal here, tried it once more, got a little bit greedy, hit this resistance level at about 16,750 range. And of course, we're working our way down to a 9 again. So if history tends to repeat itself, which it typically does, we should see either A, sideways action, B, reversal, or C, technically shouldn't happen, but we could drop below 16.6. Now again, those three options are always a potential. And I know that seems kind of redundant, right? It could go up, down, or sideways. Well, duh, yeah, obviously that's the only options for the most part. But typically when you see a 9 on TD Sequential, it will go sideways. We can expect that probably as a higher probability. A bounce from here seems less likely considering the descending trend that we've already identified. We've got a MACD divergence in the 4 hour. It makes sense we're going to keep going lower. But if we were to go lower, we should see it go sideways first before it goes lower. That's the anticipation. Okay, so again, a small handful of things could happen. It's really, truly hard to say, but when we're at a 9 on a TD Sequential to the downside, and the overall sentiment is bearish, there's a great chance we're going to go sideways and or down to retest this level of 16.6. There is a slight possibility it could go up from here, but it's a less likelihood. Okay, again, just based on the overall sense of what we've seen with everything else so far. That said, we are looking mostly bearish here for Bitcoin, and once again, the term bearish and or bullish should be used lightly right now, because once more, it's just telling us the overall general direction. This type of candlestick patterns here, we got two, somewhat gravestone patterns. It tells us that further downside could be likely, as well as the fact that we have this descending trend. So I'm just not like super bullish on Bitcoin today. I would say that tomorrow, perhaps later in the week, we might see a slightly different narrative, but at this point, we're absolutely looking tentatively bearish, and I wouldn't expect a lot or a strong return to the upside in the immediate future. All right, hopefully that made sense and I described that correctly. Again, it's always dynamic, it's always changing. This could be different and invalidated within about 24 hours or less. So just keep that in mind. What we are looking for is a closure above 16.6 at the very least to maintain this price point. Obviously, an overall closure at 17/17,200 would be fantastic to get us back on the right side of the tracks. We're a little ways from that. I wouldn't expect that immediately unless we have some type of fundamental catalyst. Speaking of fundamentals, I have all those listed in my Discord group. So if you're a part of that community, make sure you read through the fundamentals because every week there's always something different and we got some pretty good details in there for you. All right, I look forward to working with you. If you want to become a better trader, again, CryptoCache.tech is the site. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks again for your time. We'll see you.